This is the talk of Music City Real Estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and My Mortgage Team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at thetalkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com. That's questions@talkmusiccity.com.
It's a new week, Monty.
Hey, Carey Ann. So good to see you. Hey, before we introduce our guest today, I want to just imagine this for a second, would you? Here it is, about 10 years ago. I have made the decision to not pay my mortgage payment because I had a choice, either paying my marketing or my mortgage payment. I'm 5 months behind, and this lady comes into my office at the time, my real estate office, and talks about goal setting, talks about coaching and so forth. And so I agreed to meet with her, and her question is, so what's your dream goal? Here I am. Imagine this. Here I am. I just borrowed $3,000 from my youngest son so I could pay some necessities, and she's asking me my dream goal. And you know what I said? Well, my dream goal is $500,000 in this year or sometime. And she goes, well, what about this year? And I said, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited about that. And but before we do, we need to thank our sponsor.
Yes, our amazing sponsor. Thank you so much, Music City Removal. They are the #1 junk removal service in Nashville, from residential, commercial, and construction. They're experts in ridding you of junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. Whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants, and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute.
So, but our amazing guest here is, let's talk to Michelle Broadbent. Thank you, Michelle, for coming
Welcome,
today.
Michelle.
Thank you. I'm
And our amazing
here.
Jason.
Jason Hoover also.
We love having him here always.
Can you imagine?
So you've not made a mortgage payment for 4 or 5 months.
Right.
This fabulous lady walks in your office. She tells you what's your dream goal.
Dream goal, but I'm not paying anything. What's your dream goal?
Hey, it's to get food at my table tonight,
Yeah,
right?
really.
Well, at that point, it really didn't matter. It's like, shoot.
Yeah, just throw it out there.
500.
That's
Why
a
not?
dream goal.
Yeah.
Throw it out there. 500,000.
And then she posed, what about this year, you said?
Well, she goes, well, when do you want to have that happen? I said, well, that's probably, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years away. And she goes, well, what's wrong with this year? You remember that conversation, Michelle?
I totally remember that.
And how long ago was that?
That's probably around 10 years ago, I guess.
Wow,
something like
10
that. Yeah.
years.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2011 or something, right around 10 years ago, 10 years ago. So and then we talked more about coaching, and it became very apparent that the person I was sitting across the table from walked the talk and didn't just talk about it. She actually walked it, because I saw soon after that, I saw how she conveyed an effective message to me, how she teaches that as well. So, Michelle, we have a real belief here, at least I do, and I know Jason does as well, that before the message is ever conveyed, people have to believe in the messenger. So let's talk about you and your start in coaching. Okay, first of all, you're with Southwest Consulting?
Yep. Southwestern
Consulting.
Yes.
You've been with them for a couple of days now.
Started my career at Southwestern 35 years ago as a college kid from California. I was recruited to sell books door to door.
Whoa.
Had no idea what I was getting into when I sat through the interview. Somebody just asked me to come hear about a summer job where you can make several $1,000s, and I sat there, and it was straight commission, 80 hours a week, 3,000 miles away from home, selling books door to door. You have to find a place to live, and I signed up for it.
How did I would love to hear the presentation that would convince people to sign up, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I just bought some books from somebody that just came through my door. So,
Thank you.
You know, they wowed my family enough to
Yeah.
have us buy.
Exactly. And that's what I was sold on, is I knew Southwestern had been around 150 years at that point, or whatever. Now they've been around, I think, 165 years. But I knew, I just believed that if they have done this so long, and if I could just do average, I'd do a lot better selling books door to door than I was doing sitting at home being a lifeguard or working at a ball field.
Sure.
And the reasons why was I did want to separate myself. And Carey Ann just said it today when she said somebody wowed me. She goes, I want to hire them in 10 years. Well, that's what I wanted when I got out of college, is I didn't want to be like my peers. I wanted to be, just set myself a little bit apart.
Elevated, for sure.
Yeah. So
And
So
here
that's
she
when you
is.
started as a college student
I did.
in a foreign land on top of that.
Yeah, I sold in New York.
So you're from
Westchester County.
California and you're selling books in New York. So you couldn't really lean on family members or friends or church
None.
members.
Nope, just in
Just a
my
raw-
team. 4 of us lived. I actually slept, I hate to say this, but underneath a pool table in a basement with 3 other girls, and we paid, I think, $10 or $15 a week rent. And the goal was to save money
Sure.
and make as much as you can, and you get a big check at the end of the summer.
Now, did you guys go out 2 by 2 or how did just
No, one
individually?
by one,
One by
unless, I went out with my manager for about, 6 hours.
6
And
hours.
She taught me I just copied what she did. But, we go through a week of training here in Nashville, and that's what was amazing, is the training that we went through. We learned all our sales talks. We learned,
in 1 week.
yep.
So is it based out of Nashville?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're out of Nashville. Usually, I think 2,000 or 3,000 college kids come through here for a week, and then they go to their areas throughout the country.
Jason, wouldn't you love to hear that presentation speech that is getting that many students to
Right.
sign up for something that is 100% commission?
Yeah.
Under those kind of conditions. Now is it pretty well policy that you always do it in a foreign land, or can anybody just do it in their backyard?
No, they want you to come through a week of training here, and then the West always went east just because of logistics, and then we came back for a week afterwards to get our check and turn in all our money and orders and all that kind of stuff, and then we went back. So I always went to the east, but my husband was from Ohio. He sold in Texas and Arkansas and a bunch of different
So you met
places.
your husband within?
I met him my 3rd year. He was a sales
right.
manager, and he actually asked me to come speak with his group of people, and they flew me up to speak, and that's where we met.
So let's get this straight now. So you did this 1 year, and then you signed up for a second time?
Second
and a
time,
third time?
and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. And so 2nd year, I recruited a team. 3rd year, I recruited more and had a whole organization out there. And so did it for many, many summers. And then my 5th year, I stopped, and then I got married the next year and did it for another 20 years with my husband, though.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
exciting. So I'm curious, because this has been going on so long, is the training all this still the same? Because sometimes it's like the good old, go back to the basics, and just repeat what we've been told. Is that what they do still today?
Yeah, exactly the same.
Wow.
And I think that's why I became a coach, is I realized my first summer how to be successful selling books. And it wasn't because I was a great salesperson at all. I'd never sold anything. It was really because they taught me the importance of schedule. It taught me the importance of activity, how to track my activity, and really my goal. I remember asking my sales manager when I sold books, is what's it going to take to be successful? And he told me, show your books, and this will blow your mind, but show your books to 30 people every day, stay on schedule, and you'll be successful. And I did not come home at night until I showed it to 30 people every day. So
So do you remember your initial pitch?
oh yeah, I still know my initial knock, knock, knock exactly, because I said the same thing at every door.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Knock,
say,
knock, knock.
knock, knock. Hey, are you Carey Ann?
Yes.
Carey Ann, this is my name's Michelle. I'm the one talking to all the families in the area. I was just at Monte's house and Jason's, and they told me to stop by. Now, you have one little girl at BGA, correct?
Oh, that's creepy. Yeah, so you got it dialed down. So how would you do your homework prior to going to that house?
Yeah.
Wow.
You kind of learn how to get referrals. Back when I was 18.
And then get the details
Yeah.
so you know
Yeah.
things to be connected
And
up.
the neighbors, when you talk to the neighbors.
Right.
That's the only way. I'd leave your house saying, who do I go to next?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
so you're you're involved with the community. You're a pillar of the community. You live with the families. Everyone knows you. So it's fun, and it's an experience. I get a stomach ache thinking about doing it now, but it has taught me that 30 presentations in a day.
Sure.
Can you imagine doing that now in the business world?
Well, that's what I do daily, actually. In my world, I do, with every consumer we talk to. But it's the same difference, right?
Exactly.
But I think you're so true with kind of building that confidence muscle. I think some people talk about it, and having that such a structure. That's wonderful.
Totally.
One of the reasons I asked Jason to be on today is because he's a coach as well, and I know that's big in his heart, and he's making a big difference here at Realty One Group by being a coach for people and the broker here at the Franklin office. So he's a natural. But yeah, so we, the two of us, believe in coaching as well, as you know, and I just think it's amazing that one of the things I remember you sharing initially that caught my attention, I think that caused me to want to meet with you the first time, Michelle, was you recognized early in your career of sales that you had sometimes maybe only 7 seconds at best. Now that's probably been shortened since then because the attention span. I understand our attention span is not as long as a goldfish is now in our world, But you had 7 seconds to make an impression on somebody. And when I think about the challenge as a 67-year-old knocking on somebody's door and saying, "Hey, would you buy some books from me?" or however you presented that, I can't begin to imagine that. Okay, I can't begin to, because Jason and I are fortunate enough to have something that kind of sells itself. We don't have to do a lot of presentation. My belief always is, even though I've helped over 3,000 families buy or sell real estate over the last 36 years, I don't think I've ever actually sold a house, okay? That's totally against your religion, I know, but I'm just saying, fortunately for us, we have something that typically sells itself. You might narrow things down, help them make a choice and so forth, but I don't think people woke up that day saying, I really hope somebody comes knocking on my door and offers me some books that I don't have right now because I'm really excited about, meeting that opportunity. Did anybody ever say that?
No. And that was the challenge. That was the fun of it. I think, it's like Carey Ann. She pulled up last week and they were there presenting at her house. Did she expect that? No. Did she want them? No. But they probably found a need. They showed them to her daughter, and it's something they wanted, and they ordered them.
Right,
so
right.
I think that's what's cool is not everyone I went to. The cool thing is I learned 30 people didn't buy from me every day.
Right.
And every day I got better and better. But what I learned is, sales is a numbers game. The more doors I knock on, the more I present, the better I'm going to get, the more I'm going to be able to overcome objections, be able to close better, use names, testimonials. But I also learned the fact that not everyone wants your product. And I just showed it to people. And I'm a very laid back salesperson. I'm just going to show it. If you like them, get them. And if you don't,
okay,
who's next?
Yeah.
And that's what we were taught. And that's what's fun about going door to door is you have the opportunity to show it to 30 people every day.
But just like what we shared at the beginning, they've got to buy you before they buy anything else. So they had to buy the sparkle in your eye. They had to buy the smile on your face. They had to buy the conviction in your heart. They had to believe the messenger before the message that you had to share ever mattered. I think that's the part that caught my attention when we first spoke, that, okay, this lady's walk in what she says she's doing or has done and is teaching and is coaching about it. And then, of course, we all know the rest of the story is that I hired you at a time that I couldn't afford you. And the end of that year, I ended up making $500,000 the end of that year. And that was like 9 months later, or something like that. So that was pretty remarkable, but it's also a testimony, I think, to the power of focused intention and goal setting and all those kind of things, which you learn with Southwestern Consulting. And so before I forget to ask, how do people get a hold of you? First of all, we're speaking to realtors, okay?
Yeah.
That's our primary audience is real estate professionals, mortgage professionals possibly, who want to find out how this lady does it, but mainly realtors. And, how do people get a hold of you before we make sure we get that in?
I would say via email or text. M. Broadbent at southwesternconsulting.com or 615-347-4370.
So I think many people might be listening saying, I don't have time for coach, right? Number one. Number two, I don't have the money for coach. And number three, I'm too good for a coach. So these were all three excuses I used some part of my life back in the day. And what can you teach me that I don't already know, right, is probably a response that maybe some people get. And so I will tell you that I'm coached daily, whether that's through my conviction to listen to a different podcast. I do pay a coach to give me ideas, but there's no magic formula with half of this stuff, right? What I do feel with a coach is the accountability. Now I've signed up with somebody similar if I was to choose, which I haven't yet, to sign up, for a trainer of some sort, right? I would feel obligated, to do that, but not in a negative way, to actually try to really work on taking my business to the next level. There's something I heard on a podcast a month or so ago. The question was, are you interested or are you committed in everything we do? Are you interested in working out or are you committed to working out? Are you interested in this marriage or are you committed in this marriage? Are you interested in taking your business to the next level or you're committed? And so I do a lot of coaching too with loan officers, and I ask that question initially because I think so many people in our industry they got one toe in, right? But the rest of the foot's out. And they're truly just interested. They're thinking it's cool, I can make some money. Good. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah. But are you truly committed, right? And a commitment requires a lot of work. And are you ready to take on that work? And not everybody, I don't think not everybody is. I mean, I have a whole office of loan officers and they're amazing, but they're all at different levels. And some are very comfortable with the toe in, and that's totally fine, right? And in real estate, you can do that as well. So if you're really looking to take your business to the next level, a coach is definitely a must. I truly believe that. And I always say, if I was to look to hire people, I would love to hire them from Chick-fil-A for customer service and from Southwestern Consulting because they know how to sell. Yep. Those are my two places I would look for. And if they're on the resume, immediately hired. I don't even need an interview, in my opinion, right? Because they should be good at both of those, factors. So, what are some things if you were to take somebody new that possibly is watching to begin that coaching session with them? Do you start right at the beginning? Or where do you start? Because you just challenged him, right? With that question. Yeah. And
that's good that you said, are they committed? Because before anyone signs up, I look them in the eye and I say, number one, you have to be coachable.
Sure.
There's a lot of people out there that are not coachable.
Sure, yeah.
They're very successful. I use the example, my husband's a perfect example of, he is very talented, but he's not very coachable. He doesn't want to change.
Sure, yeah.
So you have to be coachable, you have to be committed. And that's
Is he 55? Sounds familiar in my household.
He just turned 60, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But Monte is a perfect example 10 years ago. He was coachable,
right.
Even though he had been in the business 30-something years. He was committed. And a lot of times that pain makes you committed. It's like going to the gym. If I gave you a gym membership, you might not go. But if you were paying for the trainer, you're going to go. You're going to show up. So coachable, committed, and the third is you've got to want to change. And so with every coaching client, the nicest thing about our program is everybody's different. So if I was coaching 10 of your loan officers, all 10 of them would be a different experience.
Sure, right.
So we've got to either start where they want to start. This is their coaching program, and we just kind of help steer them in the right way. But the accountability piece is definitely the key.
Yeah. What would you say?
Definitely. And that's what I tell people is that, you know what, I don't have a coaching in a box. I don't have a 12-step program to help you out, because we're not trying to quit smoking. We're trying to build a business.
Sure.
And so you got to, just like your clients, you got to meet them where they're at. You got to meet the agents where they're at and figure out what's going to be best serving to them in their business. And to do that, you got to journey with them. You got to take that intimate journey and understand. And that's one thing I tell them. And it's interesting. You started out with talking about, y'all's training hasn't really changed, because it really doesn't need to be. Yes, the way things are done changes. The core elements don't need to be changed, because it really boils down to, you need to, in order to know your business, you got to know your numbers. So you got to track your numbers, and you've got to bring that hustle, and you got to be committed to training, committed to adapting and changing and becoming somebody better. That's what I tell every single agent that I coach. I can teach you everything. I can teach you, contracts. I can teach you, selling. If it's internet selling, if it's in-person selling, open houses. That's not a problem. The one thing that I think is central to success that I cannot help you with is hustle. If you don't bring the hustle,
grit,
if you don't bring that hustle, there's no way I can help you. And this is just going to be a waste of both my time and your time. But if you bring the hustle, I'm going to work with you.
And there's some people that have the hustle, like myself, right, that was doing quite a bit of business, and felt like I didn't need a coach, but I could not figure out how to break through, right? So there may be some people out there that were like me, that you actually are very successful. You look in the mirror and go, I'm actually good at what I do, right? I help a lot of families, but I couldn't break through, right? And so taking a moment to change, being comfortable to change was so hard. I'm a controller. So for me to be able to let go, right, to make some shifts, adding a coach 6 years ago, you'll see a shift in my business. 6 years ago, it completely shifted, and I was able to break through that.
Because you got to ask yourself that hard question. Okay, so I'm excellent at what I do. I'm doing great. I'm number one, but I know I can be better. Well, if you want to be better, then what you're doing now is not working, right? So that's when you have to be humble and say, okay, I need help.
Sure, yeah.
And a lot of people have a hard time with that.
Yeah, it was. I'm still coached today. You have to be coachable.
You do.
Even being at the level I am, if I'm not willing to learn one new thing a day, I'm going to die on the vine, I swear. Somebody else is going to be thinking more creative than I. And the other thing I would say too is think big. I think so many of us don't think we're worthy of anything bigger than maybe just the box we've put around ourselves, maybe, and when you're able to start to think bigger, and you're like, oh, I'm just, starting out with 2 deals or 5 deals, already have that vision. And if you're not a visionary like me, you got to write it, you got to see it, you got to paint that, picture. But
a lot of it is like a environmental cage. Is that I'm used to what my parents have done. I'm around the same friends that are, I'm going to level up to that level. If you want to change that level, you got to change your environment, and that goes back to Covey. You need to change the people that you surround yourself with, and that's when you're going to level up. So, if you want to change, you got to have that intentional or that mindset of intentional changes. And it's not easy. It's kind of gutsy. But the people that are truly successful, not one of them going to say that they did it in a comfortable manner.
I think you need a coach for everything in your life.
Everything.
I'm searching for a coach for just my everyday. It's just somebody that I can talk to that understands or appreciates me just venting. Because I think that's important as well. But just being able to see what you offer that can actually help take somebody to the next level is so important. Not just you're just there to tell me what to do,
Right.
versus you're actually helping and you're giving me systems and guidance to be able to, map that journey out.
Yeah.
Is
And
that-
it's holding them to the fire to do what they say they want to do.
It's their
Not
goals.
what
It's
I
got to
wanna
be.
do.
They've got to be
Right.
their goals. A few weeks ago, one of the questions that Connie and I always ask a new potential recruit is that exact thing that you ladies were talking about a minute ago, and that is, are you coachable? We ask everybody, are you coachable? And not very long ago, somebody who is somewhat successful already in a short time said, we asked that question, are you coachable? And she said, well, nobody's going to tell me what to do. I said,
well, I was that person too. So yeah.
Good luck with that. And we invited her to go to work somewhere else, because I really believe in all my heart that one of the key ingredients we're looking for with our agents is are they coachable? A lot of the agents know in this office, Michelle, we have a mantra that are the 4 letters MQCA, and they stand for motivated, qualified, coachable, and appreciative. Those 4 things. That's who we're looking for as a client. That's who we're intentional about and attracting into our life, is somebody who's motivated, somebody who's coachable, qualified, somebody who's coachable, and somebody who appreciates. We don't have to have the appreciation, but everybody around this table appreciates some appreciation. It's the frosting on the cake. But we don't, if I know somebody, I don't care how good they are, if I know somebody's not coachable, it's not a good match. Not this office.
You want to create that sales culture for your office.
Sometimes
Yeah.
though,
The fighter
the
in you
flip
and me.
and the other. Sometimes they don't know yet that they can be coachable. Does that make sense? Meaning we put maybe strong females. I'm one. I put a wall up, and no, you don't be telling me what to do. But that was just that's how I felt like I had to do that to get where I needed to be, right? Because I was one of the gals with a bunch of men, type of thing.
Sure.
And then when I stripped that hard shell down, and I was able to see some other things, and I was able to let go, of some, and hire out and leverage, like we spoke about, things like that. It definitely, made a huge difference. So I just encourage those people that may say that they're not coachable,
And two, I think people misunderstand coaching. They think it is somebody telling them what to do, and that is not what a real coach does.
No.
Yeah.
On that topic, Michelle, let me ask you a pointed question. Are you coachable?
Am I?
Yeah. At this point in your career, are you coachable?
Yes, I'm coachable. I'm hard to coach. I would admit, just my personality. I'm a fighter. So the great thing about who my boss is, or my team leader, is Dustin, who wrote Navigate on how to sell to people the way they like to buy, but also how to manage those kind of people. So there's a different style in managing somebody like me that is hard to manage.
My boss says the same thing.
So there's nothing wrong with being that person. It's just your boss or your leader has to adapt to that type of. And I coach a ton of fighters in the mortgage industry that are way so successful.
But they could be so much more, I will tell you, because I was the fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hitting numbers I've never imagined I would ever hit just by letting my hair down, and not
Delegating
fighting.
and using other people and recruiting and doing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Carey Ann, are you coachable?
I am. Yeah.
Jason,
It took me a while. It took me a while.
100%.
I am totally coachable. I'm so coachable.
I
Because
feel-
I have a conviction. I think at this point in my life, I'm 67 years old. I think when I hit 60, there was a greater urgency to know more, so I could do more. Because I feel like I'm running out of time. I've got to. I'm definitely in the second half of life. If I make it to 125 or so, I'm definitely in that second half. So I want to make sure that I get everything I can.
I'm dancing with you on that birthday. I love it. I think not just being coachable, I think also being open-minded to learn too, right? To just learn something new
That's
on the
part of
sense of, there's so much more that we can learn, I think a coach is the best money spent,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I would support anybody out there that is looking for that. It's super important.
And we can go to all of the different trainings and seminars, workshops, and they're great. But how many times do you put it into action? You don't. So it's entertainment at that point. So a coach is there for you in helping you along the way.
Right.
And there's a lot of power in that.
After the thrill is gone of that meeting or that motivation or that book or whatever, to have somebody help you walk through it. I'm really looking forward to reading this book, by the way, Michelle, Navigate 2.0. I know I read the original version, and it was so cool to see how, to consider the selling the way people want to buy, It's so in line with disc profiling and so forth, really understanding who are you talking to. The assumption is we learn a way to communicate, and so we think everybody's going to receive that level of communication. Not everybody does, or that type of communication. I'm really looking forward to reading this book.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one quick question. There's many different types of coaching. I can speak of one that makes you call a bunch of people, and, there's can speak another of only doing 3 things a day. What is your style of coaching?
Good question. I would say, again, depending on what the client wants and what the client needs, we really try to zero in. So I work with producers, I work with managers, and then I work with elite level, like C-level clients. So sometimes the C-level is just that accountability piece, needing somebody to vent to, but also keep them on track, teach them how to do personal conferences, and just more the kind of high-level stuff that they need to do and be held accountable. I mean, there's a lot of leaders out there that became leaders because they were good producers, but they're not the greatest leaders.
No, we were forced to manage.
And we by default, we find ourselves in that position.
Go ahead and lead a crew of 50.
Yeah.
When you're
or they don't
leading
know
yourself.
how to recruit, they don't know how to interview, any of
Tell me
that.
about
So I would say our style is customized to the people that we're coaching. We want to track activity. If it's a producer that's struggling, we have to kind of have a thermometer on them and try to figure out why they're not producing and what are they doing all day. And so it's not a one size fits all. It's just figuring out who that person is and coach them accordingly. And I think that's, Monte said we, really walk the walk and talk the talk. Is everything I ask all my clients to do, I'm doing it. So I'm not just a coach behind a desk. I'm prospecting, I'm networking, I'm calling, I'm tracking, I'm doing all those things. So just very, very customized.
Oh, wonderful. I'm a big believer in coaching and encouraging all of you guys out there to research, ask and interview lots of coaches and find the one that, fits really well with your personality, because it will make a difference in your business for sure. But Michelle, such a pleasure having you with us today.
Can you share one more time how we can get a hold of you? Phone number at least.
Oh, yeah. 615-347-4370.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week. We can't wait to see you next week. And you've been listening to The Talk of Music City Real Estate.